don't drink Pepsi while you're doing a YouTube conversation.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, a very different video today. This is a first for the channel. We have managed to get a guest onto this channel, and I am absolutely privileged to have this man onto our channel. He has been one of my championship inspirations, a real championship legend, got a music background as well, which sits well with me with the keyboard in the back as well. It is none other than the championship don, the witty Benjamin Booth. What are you doing, my man?
I'm good. All the better for that lovely introduction. Championship Rent-A-Gob here at your service.
Oh, you can't beat it. You really can't. Yeah, so I'm just trying to preserve my excitement, really. I can already feel I'm just jumping around, just eager to ask you so many questions because you know so much.
We're one and the same, Alex. We're one and the same. Don't you worry.
Same. Got the keyboard in the back as well. I can see your keyboard there as well. You know, I am so excited to learn more, and hopefully this will encourage more collaborations in the future. But thank you, Ben, for giving me your time to be on this channel. You know, I know you've had a conversation with Chris Gorham recently, and now you've gone to this, and that's the beauty of YouTube. It doesn't matter who you talk to, you know, you offer your time for everyone. So, and I think that's why you're well known. But if any of you watching are not subscribed to Benjamin Bloom, then what are you doing to yourselves? Go on and subscribe to this channel and then watch this video. 13,700 subscribers, if I'm right in saying. Let's get him to 14,000 as soon as we can.
I think YouTube had just had a bit of a cull of the lapsed event of the lapsed account, so we've gone down a few as well. So please do head over.
Going down, understatement. Yeah. Just using the time today just to ask you some championship questions, where we'll be talking about the latest championship news, coronavirus, and we'll get some viewers' comments as well, because we've got some viewer comments to go through as well. The second part, we'll talk a little bit more about the music background, because I don't think a lot of you may know what this guy has done, and some of the stuff you've done I'm deeply inspired by. This is our first meeting, and just to start things off, you know, how have you been doing for this year, for lockdown? You know, how's it affected your channel, more importantly?
Weirdly, it's actually been good for the channel, but obviously personally, well, for you and for all of us, it's been a horrible year, hasn't it? So not able to see my parents and my sister and her young son, and my mum is not well, so you know, it's been really poor personally, but as ever in life, you react and you adapt. Strangely, it's actually given me the chance to really have a good go at YouTube, because I lost my job. And when I lost my job, I never would have quit that job to do YouTube, because it was too much of a cushy number. But losing it just forced me. It was like, right, what would happen if you did do YouTube every single day? And yeah, it's worked out nicely. We're on a good climb, and there is a chance that I'll be able to sort of do it for a living with the ad revenue and with the Patreon and all of that stuff. So a massive curse for everyone, but a bit of a blessing. We just need to figure out when the doors open again, what content we need to be making, because obviously most us YouTubers, our channels were based on going to games, get to the car, get the phone up, do the match review straight away, and now we're doing watch-alongs, and so it's going to be, I was talking to Dan from Lions TV about this yesterday, it's going to be very interesting to figure out, do we go to the away game and do the review, or do we do a watch-along? And as much as we love football, we want viewers and we want the most interaction on our channel, so it's going to be an interesting time when the doors open, but please God they do open, and it's soon.
Yeah, I most definitely agree with that. I mean, with my channel especially, you know, it would be lying if I said that my channel was nowhere near the level of yours, but you know, you try and do what you can. You give a good ear to what the people would like to see. Football being cancelled, and not just football being cancelled, but with everything pretty much being in strict lockdown, threw a massive curveball in front of, you know, everyone really, socially and mentally as well. I do wish your family member to be well again, obviously. I mean, that's really, really sad for me to hear that. But yeah, I feel like with this year, we've definitely been a lot stronger, and we've had to adapt. You know, we've had to almost play by ear, especially in the YouTube community. And I'm talking from one YouTuber to another, because there was a point where socially, mentally, I was very, very overwhelmed by the whole thing. Posting content continuously almost, but it was almost a quantity over quality sort of thing. And I took the decision to actually take a break for about 2 months, got a new microphone and camera, and already the quality's just skyrocketed, really. Not hasn't really done it with subscribers, but it's definitely given the viewers, they can see that I'm happy doing what we're doing. And I think that's another thing, is that we have learned, to get through things like this, we've got to do what we enjoy. And if you don't mind me asking, what was the job that you said that you used to have?
As a teacher in a school
as a teacher
in West London. Yeah, I'd been there for 4 years, I think, but very much sort of on a consultancy basis.
Yeah.
And we all know when problems arise that the first people out the door are the ones on the shortest deals.
Yeah. It's a tough business now these days, but you've made it into a good living, really, and you've capitalized on everyone staying at home. You've changed the series, as you said. You did the series with you in your car, going to away days, and for the fact that things may be going back to normal, it has allowed a lot of people to consider, do we revert back to what we were doing, or do we carry on with this? Because, as you rightly said, your channel is doing steadily well at the moment, and you've got Patreon, you've got merch, you're doing fantastically well. And I think you've put yourself in a fantastic position for you to make it into a living. All you need to do now is keep going, and then subscribers will rock it. And then, you can definitely make YouTube as a sustainable living. And should be very, very proud of that.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. All my normal expectation is just, did I work hard? Did I try hard? And as long as I worked hard and I tried hard, if I'm a music teacher again, or what have you, then fine. There's worse ways to make a living, but it's quite a lot of fun sitting watching football and making money out of it.
It is. You do anything to try and do something that you're passionate about and to make money for it as well. I completely agree with that.
By the way, just in case anyone comments negatively on that, obviously it is the passion and the love, and as you will know, I've done it for a long time for absolutely diddly squat. So I think everybody knows that, if you get into doing YouTubing for the money, well, not going to happen. You've got to do it for the love of it for a long time before anything comes trickling in.
They don't come gift wrapped these days, really. You do work hard for it. I've done YouTube for about 1.5 years now, not even with 1,000 subscribers yet. And I'm not even thinking about money. It's really down to, as a hobby, something for me to do to get through just the uncertainty we've seen on the news these days. It's just a nice reminder, just to...
That's what it was for me, Alex. Sorry to interrupt. That's what it was for me. And it's only a worldwide pandemic where you go, oh, okay, well, what else am I going to do? I can't go play a gig. Can't teach anybody. We just do videos every day. So
it's been really hard for music teachers. I mean, my mum's a music teacher, and it's the least she's worked for a very, very long time, actually. And it's been a difficult business for music teachers and theatre productions, all of those things, really. But luckily, for your sake, you found something that you can really take on board, and you can actually make something sustainable out of it. So that is absolutely fantastic. Right. I think people are wondering why we're not talking about football yet. I think we need to get onto this football chat. And I've made a couple of notes on my phone, just literally as simple as it gets. Just thought I would talk about recent transfers, specifically on the Championship. I did a transfer video yesterday, and a lot has happened in terms of the transfer window since I did that transfer video 2 days ago, actually. So we had Jason Malumbi, who was confirmed to be a Preston player. I knew he was rumoured, and I actually thought he would return to Millwall. Him going to Preston completely threw a spanner in the works for me. Admiral Musquet joining Wickham from Leicester. We've also had Morgan Gibbs-White be recalled by Wolves, which I think big bit of news, bit of a blow for Swansea, really. I think Swansea could have even had an even better season if he wasn't injured for so much of it. Filip Benkovic has returned to Leicester following he had a loan at Cardiff, didn't really get a load of game time, in my opinion. Liam Kelly, goalkeeper, Queen's Park Rangers, left to join Motherwell. Ched Evans has got back to the Championship, joining Preston. I know that caused a bit of a stir in the media yesterday. Carlton Morris left Norwich to join Barnsley. Matty James, which was a big name as well. There was a lot of talk on his wages. He's gone on loan with Coventry. That's been a huge debate. And Anthony Knockaert returning to Fulham. It sounds like his loan has ended as well. Which one of these sorts of big moves, kind of surprised you the most?
In terms of surprise, probably the two Preston ones, really, because it seems like Brighton didn't want to sell. Millwall club record bid for him, and then to then not even do a loan deal with Millwall seemed a little bit strange to me. And then obviously Ched Evans, I'd seen play for Fleetwood last season in League One, but it proves that even with Emil Rees and Jordan Story or Jaden Stockley, I always get too mixed up. Stockley, thank you. As strikers there, Alex Neil is not happy and he wants an experienced guy. And I'm not going to get into. I can't be bothered with any other Ched Evans chat. One thing he does know is where the goal is over his career. So those in terms of surprise. Those were the most surprising ones,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I do question Preston's transfer policy a couple of times. I mean, I know Preston so well because I'm an avid viewer of Ben HD as well. They've only brought one player in the whole of the summer, and I do question why they don't have more in the squad, really. I've said it time and time after again, if they improve their squad depth, and I like they're trying to improve their attacking options, but wasn't Emil Rees kind of doing enough anyway? I know Sean Maguire had a bit of a goal drought, but recently he's picked up a little bit. I think it's just a confidence thing with his part. Ched Evans, we'll just get rid of everything that's been going on in the background. I know he's had a disciplinary problem at Fleetwood for what I've heard, which caused Joe Barton to leave. He's just rumours. Definitely a few bizarre choices, and with Malumbi as well. I thought that was a good get, really. And following, I even specified they were prepared to break their transfer record, Millwall, and the fact they just didn't do more. I do question that, because goals has just been a thing that's been lacking with Millwall, really. I think you said it quite recently in a stream that Millwall have really struggled with goals. So bit of a strange one, and a bit of a strange one for Brighton to let him go as well. Of course, he'll be part of a dearly departed fighting relegation. So I have been a viewer, so I know these things. But so I'm a bit surprised that they kind of let him go this easy. I actually wish he had more starts in Premier League personally. But definitely the two Preston guys being the most shocking. I think we can move on with rumours. I've actually picked a couple of rumours out that I've seen from today. Filip Krivinovic, which, of course, West Brom player, part of the dearly departed, has only played for 11 minutes under Big Sam Allardyce. He has been linked with Nottingham Forest. What is your view on that?
It just made me laugh when you said that. Like the least Big Sam player you could possibly
11 minutes.
imagine ever. No, it is strange though, because Allardyce obviously, he will, and people like Warnock and Allardyce, they have this reputation. But both of those guys, when they do have a creative player that they trust, they will let them play. Sadly for Filip Krivinovic, he's got Matty Pereira and Grady Diangana ahead of him. So you would think Allardyce would, and it's going to be Pereira, let's be honest about it, give the sort of number 10 reins to him. In terms of Forest, I'm kind of like, really?
You do question their policy, especially in the summer.
Policy?
Just like what policy?
What policy? Yeah, it's just, so what we know about
players or something.
Yeah, it's just so bloated. And the issue now is if they're not going to wink, wink, nudge, nudge, go to Olympiacos, then what's the resale value? Because nobody wants your squad players. They want your best players. They don't want these eight sort of surplus to requirements players that there might be at Forest. But I suppose loans is one way that Mr. Marianakis can get around this, because he knows that the liability at the end isn't there. So Krivinovic, good player, but so is Luke Freeman, so is Joe Lolly, so is Sammy Amiobi, so was Anthony Knockaert. So Houghton obviously isn't happy with the front end of the pitch, but I do still think that Forest is a bloated squad, and there might be more sense in players going out rather than going in there.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I like Kravinovic as a player.
I completely agree with you there. I mean, he tore things up with West Brom in the Championship, for what I know, in terms of being that creative spark, assists as well. And he would pop up with a goal now and again as well. He makes things happen, which is really, really good. But that Nottingham Forest squad does give me flashbacks of, when Queen's Park Rangers were in the Premier League and they splashed so much money on these ridiculous signings. It was just full of, players that never played with each other before. And it was just all disjointed. They just could not find an identity. And I've been calling it from the start, but Nottingham Forest are going to have an identity problem. They don't play in a way. They needed Chris Hughton, really, to have some sort of identity in the first place. I mean, Paul Lamucci just couldn't really replicate his same fortunes again. So Hughton, to be fair to him, has improved. Forest gained them results. I just don't know where Kravinovic will fit personally, because with all the options that they got, I don't think he'll be starting regularly. And I think with the quality he has, he needs to start regularly. He got West Brom promoted quite emphatically, at least. But a bit of a bizarre rumour. I know Palka also interested of getting Kravinovic as well. Glenn Murray is another rumour. He's been linked to
Forest.
Queen's Park Rangers, not Forest, Queen's Park Rangers. So that's a surprise. Yeah, I was surprised myself. But apparently he may switch his loan from Watford to Queen's Park Rangers. That is a source that I have read from today. And honestly, he's only made one appearance and he's only made 5 appearances, 4 of which have come off from the bench. He needs someone. I know he's 30 odd, but he needs minutes, What do you make of that? Do you think he could fit in Queen's Park Rangers?
As soon as you said Glenn Murray, I assumed it was going to be Hughton again because he had him at
right. Yeah. So, that's you know what? I was as surprised as you that it wasn't Forest, but Queen's Park Rangers is an interesting one, I guess.
Well, yeah, it's just odd at QPR because I saw a stat today that said that it was second tier podcast actually. I can give them credit. Ilias Chair had created the most chances from crosses out of anyone in the Championship this season. And I was sitting there thinking, if only QPR had a tall central striker, but they signed Lyndon Dykes for 2 million quid. So I don't really know. Well. I don't really know what's going on there. To do a bit of an awful name drop, I was in. It would have been his last press conference actually. Vladimir Ivic press conference after the Rotherham game. Someone asked him about Glenn Murray. And just by the look on his face and his body language, he didn't really need to say anything else that Ivic did not fancy Murray. So whether Xisco Munoz isn't interested either. But I just feel, less so for the QPR than a Watford. If you're relying on a 37-year-old who was the top scorer in the Championship, 2012 was it?
2012-13, I think. Queen's Park, Crystal Palace.
7 or 8 years ago. Yeah. To get you up, that's not a good thing. But if you're QPR and you're sliding down the table, then if the wages aren't too prohibitive, get him in. Experienced guy. The other one I'd heard for QPR was Jordan Rhodes. So they seem to be looking for someone with a CV, basically.
Yeah, I mean, Glenn Murray would guarantee you goals. You do question whether he could score as many as he did previously now. But one thing that he will give, he'll be perfect with set pieces, really. And with Queen's Park Rangers, I think they just need all the help that they can get up front right now. Lyndon Dykes not getting the confidence at all. Macaulay Bonne just trying to score as well. I think Lyndon Dykes has had more penalty goals than regular goals this season as well, which doesn't look good on his part. But having someone like Glenn Murray could be good, especially if they wanted to have a more pragmatic approach and use more set pieces as part of their play. Because Queen's Park Rangers, more or less known as this high possessing team, passing and crossing in the box. Brighter Samuel was another one as well. I think he's got 3 goals, 3 assists this season. But with him being linked away, it's a really dangerous time for Queen's Park Rangers. I don't think at the start of the season we would consider them being relegation candidates. I know they've lost Eberechi Eze, but even so, with the quality that they've got on the field, I don't think you would ever consider them being relegation rivals. But
they need a good window.
They definitely need a good window. I think is it 11 games without a win now? Something. It's something. They got a really bad winless streak at the moment, and they definitely need to pick themselves up as soon as they can. They have got an FA Cup game against Fulham. Maybe that could be a chance for some players that may not have been playing to get their confidence up, but we'll have to wait and see in those, because right now with COVID, there's some FA Cup games being put in doubt right now. So, but that is another topic. There's more rumours, but I feel like we need to move on just a little bit, just so we don't waste time. I'm just going to spend this time now just talking about the rest of the leagues and just how it's been affected due to COVID. So we'll go with the Premier League first. And I'm a Chelsea fan, so I do pay attention a lot to the Premier League. I know I'm a Championship YouTuber as such, but I actually don't do a lot with the Premier League anyway, but I do invest in it. And out of all seasons, it feels like a more traditional Premier League season where any team can be anyone. You know, one thing I was really worried about was that we saw Man City and Liverpool starting to pull away a little bit, form like an alliance on their own, and then you get the best of the rest down there. But for some reason this season, it seems to have all changed. It's all competitive again. And do you think that's down to the case of having no fans to the stadium, or do you think it's naturally the teams are just more equal now?
Yeah, it's obviously it's a mixture of the no fans thing, and we'll only really find out the impact that had when they get back, because we'll see which teams fall off a cliff and which teams suddenly start to improve. And I just think then the mixture of players being missing or players who have had COVID and the congestion in the fixtures is the other thing that evens it up a little bit. It just makes it a little bit more chaotic, and you don't imagine managers having a hell of a lot of time to be making big preparations when the games are coming so thick and fast. So yeah, I think all of those things have evened it up really, but all makes for good spectacle.
Yeah, it all makes it with a really exciting season. I don't think since 2016-17, when Chelsea won the title, we've really seen anything as close as this as well. And we've seen some absolutely manic results. We can go in all day with the manic results. And I think one thing that has been, what is really interesting actually, is when we did previously had fans go back. Obviously, we had the tier restrictions. We had Everton and Liverpool both have fans in their stadium. And I think they both had really, really tough games, both had really positive results from having home fans in their stadium. So I think it does show having fans just make a really, really huge difference, which I think just exaggerates, how important of a sport, football is with fans as well, and how important the fans make it as well. It should make for a really, really exciting season. So with the Premier League, I think we've talked what we can with the Premier League. We will move down to the Championship, and that is where most of our content is based on. And I actually don't support a Championship team. Maybe a bit bizarre, but I do Championship.
Neither do I.
Yeah, there you go. You leave your bias outside the door is what I say. I don't have any bias for any 24 teams. It'll be the only time I can quote you saying on this. But I think what I'm going to do now, I'm going to have the Championship table right in front of me, and we'll just talk through all the teams one by one, and we'll just discuss, what we think, because it's the halfway stage of the Championship. So it'll be a good time just to reflect on what we make of them in the halfway stage. So obviously we've got Norwich first place at the moment. What do you make of Norwich? I don't think they have been impressive as, when they got promoted, I think it was 2 years ago under Daniel Farke, but showing some similar characteristics to that squad, I think you would agree.
Well, that squad finished top and this squad is top, and that's probably the one similarity that Norwich fans will want. It just depends on if Buendia decides that he's done at Norwich and he's given them good service. And
he has been linked with Arsenal a lot,
and he wants to go and try and go up a level. No disrespect to Norwich, good club, but if he decides, then it's a tricky one. But I think generally speaking, if there's not lots of injuries or chaos or a very bad window, we'll likely see Norwich get promoted. Yeah,
scored the winner last Norwich game as well. Just exaggerating how important he is to that Norwich squad. I completely agree with you there. Perhaps maybe a surprise package in second place. Swansea City right now. Of course, Bournemouth and Brentford have played one game less, but the table doesn't lie. They're second place, 43 points, 13 goals conceded in 23 games. That is an extraordinary defence. How on earth has Swansea managed to keep themselves so tight at the back? That's probably why they're up there. But what have you been impressed with Swansea so far?
Well, the balance, because often teams with that type of defensive record either they're completely way too good for everyone and they're scoring 100 points and no one actually gets on the ball, or they're very defensive. Whereas Swansea, I think, are quite a good mix between a well-drilled sort of defensive team, but obviously good going forward with the wing backs Bidwell and Roberts, and
Yeah.
If you got Ayew in the Championship, you got a chance.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, actually. Andre Ayew, I know he's not the youngest sort of player as well, but he has definitely stepped up. And I think it's been a fantastic season for Jamal Lowe as well, where I thought at Wigan, especially at the beginning of last season, he had glimpses that he had pretty good moments, but then especially like in the past lockdown, and you remember that 8-0 Wigan victory as well, where I think he had 1 goal and 3 assists as well, and he's just sort of carried that confidence to Swansea now. I think he's been a revelation personally. He'd personally be one of my biggest surprises this season, and completely agree. The balance, you don't, it's not often you get a good attack within a good defense, and I think you've got to back Steve Cooper for that. I think he's got a clear identity. Everyone knows what to do. They know their roles, and they're clearly playing in the front of him. So Swansea doing fantastically well. So we'll just go through the top 6 now. So of course we've got Bournemouth, Brentford, Reading, and Watford. And I'm interested to know: do you see any of the sides staying in top 6? Do you see any of them pushing for top 2, or do you see any of them dropping out of the top 6?
Bournemouth, Brentford, Reading, and Watford. You would expect, and I don't want to upset any Reading fans, you would expect the other 3 teams to stay in the top 6. I know that sounds a bit boring, but Brentford are the best of the rest. I'd say even ahead of Swansea in terms of not being a parachute team. And Reading have done absolutely superbly. If they keep it up, obviously they'll stay in the top 6. But they would be the one where if a Stoke went on a good run, or I'm trying to think who else is just outside. Warnock can get everything together for a Middlesbrough. They would be the one, but proved us all wrong so far, Reading. So I'm sure their fans will assume that they're going to continue to prove us wrong. It's going to be difficult for those outside of the top 6. Now it does feel like, particularly the 3 relegated teams, the parachute teams, the year 1 parachute teams, are pretty entrenched in there and likely to. I mean, I dare say not even top 6. We might even have 3 relegated teams in the top 5. It would take one of them to fall off a cliff to not finish up there now.
Yeah, definitely very interesting. I think Reading, we can definitely agree, has been the biggest surprise. I mean, I think in my table predictions, I put Reading to finish 17th, and I can't stop hearing about it. It's definitely probably my worst prediction for this year. Reading, yeah. Where do you predict them?
I don't remember where I predicted them. It wouldn't have been anywhere near 6.
I put them below Queensborough Rangers and Birmingham. I can't stop hearing about it.
Yeah, there you go. The worst one I did was I thought that there's always one relegated team that has a real struggle, maybe sacks the manager, sells the best players. I predicted Bournemouth would do that, and I put them at 14th, and now they've been absolutely fine. So.
I mean, I've kind of gone to a similar track. I actually put them 9th, but still, it's not 14th to be fair, but yeah, 9th is it's still not great. I mean, I probably should back the squad really. I mean, their squad's really ridiculous. Dominic Solanke in the form of his life right now, and I think all of a sudden we're seeing what he can do with that Bournemouth side, and seeing the quality that he's kind of been lacking and wanting to get from the Premier League as well. Brentford, in my opinion, best team of the Championship, in my opinion. I think even with their performance against Tottenham, I know they lost. It was a good watch-along, by the way. I was there for it. It was a very encouraging performance, and I think a very unfortunate goal disallowed due to VAR as well. And I think it's a good lesson for Brentford that they're going to, if they, let's say they do get promoted, VAR could be absolutely cruel to them, and it has been cruel to some of the promoted sides as well, who obviously have not had VAR in the Championship. I personally wouldn't want it personally. Reading, honestly, I mean, I'm shocked with Reading because they went on an absolutely unbelievable run. I think it was 6 or 7 wins in a row in the beginning of the season, and then all of a sudden they had a couple of injuries, they dropped, and then they picked themselves up again and just being more traditional Reading. I think Lucas Jow's been a huge difference to that. Lucas Jow, when he's not injured, he's deadly as a striker. Ejaria's doing bits as well. Obviously, there was a bit of speculation whether he would stay, but he's or whether he will leave, dare I say, but he's actually stayed, signed a new contract as well. And even Michael Olise as well. Unbelievable talent, really. Just that whole squad, a bit similar to Swansea, a very well-drilled squad. Only thing I would say is that they need to improve their defence. If they could just have the defence they had in the first 7 games, then they probably would storm the Championship. And obviously with Watford, Ipswich as a manager, I mean, I predicted Watford to win the whole thing, and I thought that pragmatic approach would suit well with the players and that five at the back system. And unfortunately, I think whilst it does well for a period of time, it doesn't set well with the players when they're doing it game in and game out. And unfortunately, with Watford, with their turnover managers, I mean, I can't believe why I didn't even really foretold this. Ipswich gets sacked, and then they bring Cisco Munoz in, which I had no idea who he was. I had to do a bit of digging to find out who he was. In my opinion, actually, out of everyone, I know Watford got a great score, but even with Munoz as well, I wouldn't say Watford's place in the top six is guaranteed. You could disagree. That's absolutely fine. Reading, definitely with their injuries, if they get one with Lucas João, forget it, in my opinion, because they've got some fantastic attacking players, but all it takes is one bad result and then it's disaster again. Alarm bells will start going off. Brentford and Bournemouth, I'd say, will be guaranteed, but definitely Middlesbrough are probably going to be challenging all the way. I mean, it's the Neil Warnock way. He just does what he does, very pragmatic defensive manager, and he gets results. And I dare say I'm very surprised. And even Stoke have surprised me as well. The go-to sides in the rest of the top half. We've got Barnsley, Bristol City, Blackburn and Preston. Different expectations from all four of these sides. What do you make with these four sides, starting with Barnsley?
Barnsley, really good since Ishmael came in. If they finish anywhere near where they are, they'll be happy. Bristol City, probably similar actually. First year under Dean Holden, loads of injuries and like we've already said, considering what's above them, doing all right to be where they are. Preston, erratic, all over the place, don't know what you're going to get. And Blackburn, I really like Tony Mowbray. Obviously, I'm an Ipswich fan, so really big fan of Tony Mowbray. Definitely. But with my bias at the door, I just think there's a little bit of a sense of underachievement there, and they should be maybe where a Stoke or a Borough are challenging on the edge of the playoffs.
Yeah, Blackburn, for me, is their defence. If they improved their defensive line, because with the attacking players of Adam Armstrong, he's performing out of his skin at the moment, in contention to be the Golden Boot winner for the Championship, head-to-head with even Tony, I guess. Bristol City, of course, they had a fantastic start, falling off, and then injuries just proving to be a bit of a hindrance. They have, I think, confirmed Alfie Mawson is now starting to train back with Bristol City, which is encouraging news for them. Barnsley, another one with Reading, very, very surprised, and who knew it needed a change of manager to get that. Valerian Ishmael, never really heard of him, but he's doing fantastically well with Barnsley, especially at Oakwell as well. Barnsley at home, I don't back any side to go up against Barnsley at home right now. They seem to have a clear identity, and against Norwich as well, they were absolutely terrific. I know the scoreline, suggests otherwise, but they did pretty well there. And Preston, I mean, obviously, watching BNSG, I'm going to know a lot about Preston as well. But I completely agree. Erratic, showing shades of Reading, what we've seen in previous years. You don't know what you're going to get with them. And Preston are just kind of having that season as well. And I think it's just kind of showing in their transfer policy as well. So, yeah, Preston could be in better times. But to be fair, they have picked it up a little bit. And following that, Alex Neil's been nominated for Manager of the Month, actually. So, fair play. So for next four teams down in the table, just basically in the top part of the bottom half, are Huddersfield, Luton, Cardiff and Coventry. What do you make of those four teams so far?
Three of them performing well, one of them not performing well. I think you can guess which one that is. Cardiff should be higher in the table with a year two parachute payment, and
definitely
Wilson and Hoylett and Kiefer Moore and Smithies. You just go to Sean Morrison. They've got some players that can function certainly in the top half of the Championship, probably the top 10 or top 8 for sure. So Cardiff should be higher. Luton and Huddersfield, my narrative is they've both got very good home records, and that makes them mid-table teams rather than bottom 8 teams.
Yeah.
And I forgot Coventry. Excellent job. Excellent job from Coventry so far. We just have that slight little worry that Derby and Forest might just move, be a bit more powerful than Coventry, and they may well end up in the bottom 6, but they certainly look the least likely of the 3 promoted teams from League One to go.
You're not wrong about that. Cardiff, I completely agree with you. Definitely underachieving with the parachute payments and the squad they have. I mean, they got Kiefer Moore. with the style that they play, you know, predominantly with set pieces, I think they should definitely have way more goals, really. And it surprised me a little bit about their defence as well. I mean, I just don't know what's going on with Cardiff. They had a bit of a slump period where Neil Harris was under pressure. Then he had those 4 wins in a row, and we were thinking, okay, Cardiff was creeping up again. And now all of a sudden, I think they had a 3 winless streak afterwards. So Cardiff are just going in pigs and troughs at the moment, really. And I definitely agree they should be a lot higher. And yeah, it was consistency, really. Huddersfield, definitely a side that I one of the biggest surprises so far. I predicted Huddersfield to be in the bottom 6. And Carlos Corberán, you know, a manager I've not known a lot about. I know he was with Marcelo Bielsa for a little bit, but to be fair to him, he's adopted his philosophy and he's performing a Huddersfield squad that barely scored, you know, under Danny Cowley and Jan Sievert, and they're looking like a free-scoring Huddersfield side now, having shades of what David Wagner managed to put onto them when they got promoted. So very encouraging signs. And Luton as well. I mean, what a difference one manager can make to a club. If you remember last year, they had Graham Jones, you know, assistant manager West Brom, and defensively they were shambolic. They were set to beat Rotherham's defensive record, most goals conceded ever in a championship season at one stage. They were conceding 7 at Brentford, and then Nathan Jones comes in, and then all of a sudden their defence looks in tip-top shape. So it just goes to show what difference one man can make. And I feel like Luton, it's just some things work, and Nathan Jones at Luton works. I mean, we'll forget his time at Stoke because we don't need to delve within as Stoke have moved on brilliantly. And Coventry, Mark Robbins, I mean, I'm surprised because I knew he was Barnsley manager. I did a whole video on Barnsley. It was one of my lockdown series that I did. And Mark Robbins, you know, in terms of his win percentage, didn't do all that well with Barnsley, actually, in the Championship. I think Ryan saying may have gotten them relegated. I need to double check that. But with Coventry, he's got, once again, with the Nathan Jones and Luton situation, I think there's just some sort of combinations that just work, and Coventry clearly have that. And I completely agree. Derby and Forest could potentially sneak in a little bit, and I think Coventry, if they improve their away record, they can improve. They've only had 2 away wins all season, so definitely away from home is what they need to fix. But they've had a better home record than Birmingham City at their own ground, so I think Coventry are doing quite well. So, and then to the sides that are just above the bottom 3, obviously you've got Millwall with Gary Rowett, Birmingham, Nottingham Forest, who have climbed up recently, Queen's Park Rangers, 20th, and Sheffield Wednesday outside of the bottom 3 for the first time in the halfway stage of the season. What do you make of Millwall so far?
Millwall, not good really. I did an hour on Lions TV with Dan yesterday. So
yeah,
if you really want to know what I think about Millwall, there's an hour of it over there. But no, definite sense of frustration there and underachievement from the Millwall fans. I think don't know how they fix it. Frankly, you just got to hope that Rowett's system and pattern of play comes good. I think, but. Little bit of a vote of confidence that they were willing to give him £2 million to sign Jay Mollenby. So yeah, fingers crossed for my Millwall friends.
Yeah, I mean, Millwall, in my opinion, have been one of the biggest underachievers. I think I put them in the top 6 based on the transfers they made. You know, I think when they had Troy Parrott, they had Ryan Wood signed permanently. They had some fantastic signings, Scott Malone from Derby. You know, they had some fantastic signings, and for me, they definitely got the squad that's capable of being a top 6 side, but they do play, to be fair, with an identity, which is to be very robust and very tough to beat. But it's been at the other end, scoring goals, which has been a huge problem for them. And Jed Wallace has been scoring a couple of goals, as he has done, but I don't know with Gary Rowett, really. You know, I think it's giving me similar vibes to when he was at Stoke. You know, that same sort of frustration that Stoke did look to be a side that was tough to break down, but scoring goals, just a little bit of a problem. But they're 17th at the moment. Definitely with home wins, they need to improve. I think they've only had 1 home win all season. It was either 1 or 2 home wins. I mean, their home record, 1. That's what I thought. 1 home win all season. So disrespectful, really. And especially at the Den as well. It's been one of their biggest assets and staying in this league. And the fact they've really lost it, you know, I do think it's a little bit concerning. They're 17th, and if they don't pick up wins soon, I think they will start to slide. But then we've got the likes of Birmingham, where their home record just practically doesn't exist, really. They've actually got the worst home record in all 4 English leagues.
Didn't know that.
Less points picked up in all 4 English leagues at home.
Not good. Not good.
It's not good at all. What does Isaac Karanka need to do?
Karanka needs to... We were talking about Swansea balancing out the side, and they're probably the best example. But then you'd have someone like a Middlesbrough who are a defensive side, but a better balanced. And Karanka just needs to work towards having some kind of attacking sense to his to his pattern of play, because it just doesn't appear to be there at the moment. And they would definitely go in my underachievers bracket, Birmingham, because I think they've got. I like a lot of their players. I like Etheridge, the keeper. I know he's been a bit rubbish recently. Pedersen's always
statement
decent. Sunjic looks good. San Jose, Bella, Jutkovic in the Championship as a big forward. There hasn't actually been anyone better than him really as your big target man in the Championship over, say, a 5-year period. So it doesn't bode well for Birmingham. Need to improve. They've got tools there, I think.
Yeah, most definitely. Jonathan Lecco being another one that definitely player. Just a really, really talented player. They're definitely in their wide players. Ivan Sanchez has looked good at times, and San Jose, as you said, very, very creative player. I just think they're not scoring enough goals, and all of a sudden, it's just they've conceded, I think it was 8 goals in their last 2 home games. Okay. So when you don't have that balance, if you don't have a good defense along with a good attack, one outcome will happen. You'll lose that game and you'll be in free fall. And Birmingham, another side in a winless streak, so definitely need to pick up results as soon as they can. We've now got Nottingham Forest, who, to be fair to them, have had a pretty okay run of games. They have won their last game against Preston, albeit by very controversial circumstances. But they've gone on a 5 unbeaten run. So what do you make of Forest and Chris Hughton? I know we've kind of discussed on this, but do you think they can improve?
Yeah. I think Forest will be okay. Just need to trim the squad a little bit, and I suspect they'll move slowly, if not spectacularly, to somewhere around the middle of the table.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think they'll definitely be around a mid-table finish. Doing my mid-season predictions, Nottingham Forest is definitely going to be one I'm thinking, do I move down? Do I move up? But as long as the squad's trimmed and there's an identity, I'm definitely will say, okay, they'll move slightly up. And I know Chris Hughton, with his Championship records, and it's outstanding, but there's some things that even the best can't fix all that quickly, and it's going to take time. So definitely need to stick with him, Nottingham Forest. Obviously, we had Queen's Park Rangers. We have talked about Queen's Park Rangers already. 11-match winless streak. Need to improve that as soon as they can. Transfers are going to be very, very huge in this window. I think if they keep Osai Samuel, they may have a chance. Elias Chair being one as well. But lose one of them and they don't replace someone with like a Dembele from Peterborough. If they don't replace, then I think Queen's Park Rangers may have to be one of the favourites to go down. What do you think?
Like we said, they need a good window. They're sliding. I always think when people are going to be in, will they slide down? Will they go down? I always think when people are talking in those terms, my first thought is who's going to finish above them. So will Derby? Probably. Will Forest? Probably. Will Sheffield Wednesday? Don't know.
We don't know.
No idea. So. And will Wickham and Rotherham? No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I would say for QPR that might keep them around.
Yeah, and I think you summarised the other 4 teams pretty well. Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday, I know they're above the relegation zone, but there's no guarantee they'll stay there. We're still waiting to see what new manager may take their job. It's a bit of a poison chalice at the moment, really. We've got Tony Pulis getting sacked after 10 games. I mean, controversial from Shinsiri, to say the least, especially with the comments he's made. Derby, definitely encouraging now under Wayne Rooney. Hopefully the squad's okay. I'm hearing that him and the first team cannot travel to Chorley for their FA Cup game due to a COVID outbreak. I hope they're okay with that. Rotherham and Wickham, Rotherham maybe could pull off something if Freddie Ladapo gets a bit of confidence, but Wickham, unfortunately, to be fair, they've done a little bit better than I expected them, but I think they're kind of almost confirmed to be planting in that bottom place. 4 points off safety, playing more games than everyone else. So now I don't think they're as bad as a Yeovil or maybe an MK Dons at the time, but you think with some of these sides, that don't have a lot of championship experience, we look at Burton as an example, who've defied the odds and have stayed up, but sadly, I don't think Wickham may follow in that pattern.
No, agreed. It's very, very hard, very, very hard for Wickham. I'd agree with your view.
No, I still think Gareth Ainsworth is still doing as best as he can with the squad he has, but unfortunately, I just think as a squad, as a total, it's just not quite enough. So I'm just keeping my eye on the time. We're trying to go through this a little bit quickly. I want to make sure I have time for viewer comments as well. Before we go into viewer comments, I want to talk to you a little bit about Ipswich. What do you make of them, Sever? It can't be a Benjamin Bloom talk without talking about Ipswich.
No, you're right.
Exactly.
You're right. It can't can it? Or my hair.
Yeah. Oh, my hair.
Got to talk about.
Surprised I'm not talking about that yet, but no, we'll go through. We'll go through Ipswich. So yeah, obviously they're in a position where they're just around. They're fighting for that top 6 place, but you feel with the squad they have, do you think they should be blowing League One away? And is Paul Lambert, the right man to do that? I mean, obviously he managed Norwich, so I don't know what you made of his appointment to Ipswich at the time.
Should they be blowing the league away? Well, no one's got a divine right to, even if you do think you're bigger than the league you win. Mm-hmm. And this is what I always say when I'm asked about Ipswich: you have to be competent. So if you are a big club in a league, like and maybe some fans in League One don't like it when Ipswich fans say it, but Ipswich have performed for 6 decades above that level, so they are
exactly 16 years in Championship, and with that club, you don't expect them to be in that division whatsoever. I completely agree with you there, and I think Sunderland are another club like that as well. But yeah, how satisfied are you with Ipswich at the moment? Are you a bit optimistic, or are you just sitting on the fence a little bit?
But to go back to the point I was just making, so when you're in League One, it's just about being competent. If you are a big team down there, if you look at someone like Newcastle when they came down to the Championship, obviously Newcastle's a huge club, but competent, and twice they dominated, twice they got promoted. That would have been the hope from Ipswich, Ipswich fans, and maybe a Sunderland or something when they do go down. But no, they haven't been competent though so far. They should, with along with a Pompey or a Sunderland or an Oxford, the big clubs in there. But doesn't always work that way, does it? And we've just been talking about Wickham. They were, they played above themselves.
Yeah,
so
I know it's crazy.
A few teams had to play below themselves to allow Wickham to come through, play above themselves, and win that promotion. And brilliant job. But yeah, Ipswich. I'm not seeing enough evidence that there's going to be a successful conclusion to this Paul Lambert tenure, but I would love to be proved wrong about that and for Ipswich to find their way back to the Championship.
I know. I mean, I would have wanted to know your reaction for him for what he's done with Norwich. For the fact that Ipswich thought, oh yeah, we'll take the guy that did well with Norwich. We'll give him as our manager. But yeah, it's a bizarre and an interesting combination regardless. And I do wish Ipswich the best of luck. Are they playing this weekend? I think they're playing within a couple of days. Yes, because they had a COVID outbreak, and for about 2 to 3 weeks they couldn't play a single game. Obviously, I know they're not playing the FA Cup this year because I think, was it Pompey that you got knocked out by in the first round? Yeah. Bit of an unlucky draw there. You probably got the best side in terms of round 1 there. But we're going to go now through viewer comments. I've got a couple of questions from them. Harry Walsh asks, what has been your favourite video on your channel?
That's a really good question. Who was that? Harry?
Harry Walsh, yeah.
Harry, good question. My favourite video, so that covers a multitude of sins, as in which was the best one for me to make, which did the audience enjoy the most. I don't know. I really enjoyed, and it was like the most Championship thing possible. The last day of last season, we did a watch along, and you got that crazy turnaround between Swansea and Forest. It was just ridiculous. So that would probably be one of them. That would be up there. I suppose looking back, it would be nice to just go and do an I have just witnessed and go to go to a stadium and
Mm.
there's that lovely moment when when you are, and it is journalism. I know I had an awful exchange with a troll on Twitter yesterday who very disrespectful to YouTubers and what they do, but it is journalism. We do the same things, and just because you're not on a BBC or a Sky Sports doesn't make you lesser than. We're doing the same thing, and you get that sense when when I'm sat at Birmingham and the fan comes out and attacks Jack Grealish of, oh, I'm seeing something big happening here. What's going on? And sat with Villa again. I was in the stadium when Bielsa let Villa score, and oh, what is happening here? And so there's been a few where I've been really lucky to have picked the right game, got the ticket, but hard working as well, shown up and appeared there. So those would be a few examples, Harry, for a favourite video.
Definitely agree with that. I mean, with the whole journalism thing, we've got to work our way to try and get the sort of respect. And it doesn't matter if we're YouTubers, if you speak well and you know about your subject, you're as good as anyone for what I know. But great question. I don't even know what my favorite video is. Probably would be my best performing one would be my score predictions for this year. 2,000 views, actually, which is a big deal on my channel.
No,
Okay.
hey, if you can bang out 2,000 views a video, you're gonna be doing okay. So keep it up, yeah.
Yeah, 1 year in the business, you got to take what you can get. Okay, Mr. Football, a frequent viewer of my channel has got 2 questions. So the first one is, why did you start YouTube, and did you think it would grow as much as it has? Well, we kind of discussed that in the beginning, haven't we?
Why did I start YouTube? I'll give the abridged answer, but it's quite funny. So I started a Ipswich Town podcast initially. So I had the Blue Monday podcast, and we wanted to branch out across and do YouTube. And I didn't expect for 1 minute it'd be me that did it. So we put an advert out and said, does anyone want to make match review videos for our platform? And a guy agreed to do it, and then I don't know, maybe like a day before the first game or 2 days before the first game, he said, "Oh, look, Ben, I don't really think I want to do it." And I'm like, "Okay, fine. I owe you nothing, you owe me nothing. That's fine." So I thought, well, I better do it myself then, and did the first video. And Ipswich lost 6-1 in a pre-season friendly to Charlton, and of course, loads of people watched the video when we 6-1 to a League One team as they were then, and yeah, that gave me the bug then. So we've got a guy pulling out of it to thank. Look, I dare say I'm a creative chap. I may have ended up doing it anyway, but that story is good. And the first video being a 6-1 loss in a friendly, I learned very quickly what kind of events make for good stories straight away.
Losing 6-1 has kind of probably projected you in a way, in a fantastic way. It set you off the scene and fantastically well. With my reason, I mean, I finished A-levels by the time, and yeah, it's just I needed something to do. I had about 2-3 months of doing absolutely nothing, and I like to do things a lot. Could have done other things, could have got a job, but I just thought I want to do something. I want to just kind of step out of my comfort zone. YouTube was something that was in the back of my mind, but I never really thought about doing it as a hobby, because just showing yourself in front of camera is quite daunting. You've got to be creative. And I think my first video actually was when Frank Lampard was Chelsea manager. Obviously, being a Chelsea fan, it's going to be a Chelsea video, and I definitely did it. I think within 10 minutes of his announcement, so I definitely got that video out pretty quickly.
Good work.
So yeah, it was a good one. It was just perfect timing, really. Thinking about, should I start this? Frank Lampard's announced, thinking, okay, I'm making a video. So yeah,
I'll tell you a funny story, Alex.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story. I think it was Barnsley and then Forest, but they both changed their manager on the same day within about about an hour of each other. So I'm trying to think. I think it was Barnsley first. I'm pretty sure it was Barnsley first. Let's just say it was for the sake of the story. And I'm like to my missus, "Oh, sorry, I've really got to go and do this stream right now." And she's like, "Yeah, okay, fine. Let me know, and we'll start the dinner or whatever." Do the stream, fine. Right, I'm done, darling. Everything's finished. I promise. Everything's okay. Sat down, start eating dinner. 5 spoonfuls in or whatever. Nottingham Forest fire Sabri Lamouchi, and you're just
Oh,
like, oh my
oh.
god, I am going to be in so much trouble. But I have to go and talk about this now because, as you realise, nothing like a managerial change to perk up people's attention.
Definitely. I completely agree with you there. You know, it's the timing as well, you know, almost as ridiculous of Sheffield Wednesday firing Tony Pulis at 11 p.m. I mean, what was
I was
that all
asleep.
about?
I was asleep. I missed the whole
And
thing.
everything turned off. I was like,
I
Pulis is sacked.
wake up, pull my phone, undo the alarm. Oh god,
Oh, man.
here we go again.
You know, doing that late at night could have got a lot of people interested. Definitely a missed opportunity, but
Oh,
definitely.
there's a reason they announced it that late at night. Believe you me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you know yeah, definitely. We'll start off with this final question, because I wanted to have a bit of time talking about the music as well. This is from Footy Frenzy Official. They've got an Instagram account apparently based on championship stuff. Was there any moment that made you think, yes, this is the type of content I'd love to do? And what was your biggest inspiration of starting a channel?
Was there a moment? This is the content I want to do. No, I don't think so. I think I kind of got funneled into it because I was doing Ipswich first of all. You know, you support Ipswich, you do an Ipswich podcast, make Ipswich YouTube content, away you go. Obviously, then the shift away to do a more fully formed thing. Yes, you get some pushback from Ipswich fans. Oh, you're deserting us or what have you. But looking at how much Ipswich coverage there is now, there's about 5 different Ipswich podcasts. Then you know it was the right thing to do. In terms of inspiration, I've always had a good relationship with Jack from Talk Norwich City, and I suppose I suppose he was always good enough. You know, when our Blue Monday channel had like 700 subscribers and his had 15,000, he'd always bring me on the channel to talk about the Ipswich Norwich game. So I suppose he would be, you know, the kind of, right, what's this guy doing, and how's he doing it well? Maybe I should be doing something similar to him. So I'd give Jack some credit, and especially with it being the rival club, you know, Ipswich and Norwich is kind of a good barometer. I mean, they're poles apart now, but kind of a good barometer for what to do there. So probably give Jack some credit.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, rivals aside, that's a fantastic story, actually. In terms of my part, I mean, it took me a load of time to actually muster the courage to start YouTube. But I will say, because I've said his name before already, Ben HD. Him being a very similar age to me.
Ben's been on my channel
for years.
A couple of times, and I said to him as well. I said before, when I started doing it, I remember typing in, you know, championship, whatever, straight to the top.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and you know, watch some of his videos, and I was like, oh, okay, this is how you do it. So yeah, no, he's I should give him some credit as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to like blow his own trumpet that much, but what really got it for me was the fact it was a similar age. You know, we were in very similar circumstances, doing university locally. I was doing university locally as well. And the setup as well, very simplistic, even that video, how to set things up as well. And, you know, it's just made everything look so easy and so simple. And I was like, okay, you know what? If I make things as simple, if I present, you know, and I be myself, you know, leaving the bias out the door as taking part of your motto as well. And I definitely, Ben was the first one I found. Then it was your channel, actually. And it was just like a load of things compiling together. Brommy Joe, another one, Talk Norwich City, occasionally see his stuff as well. And I know there's a lot of championship stuff already, but for me, just compared to Premier League stuff, you know, it's a huge contrast, really. And even with me being a Chelsea fan and watching the Premier League, you know, I always get intrigued of what kind of teams do we see going up into the Premier League and, you know, learning more about that culture. You know, it's more competitive. I don't think Premier League fans will disagree that Championship is way more competitive, more exciting, and yeah, just naturally, you know, it's a marathon of a season, and it's a good way to get some content. And a lot of people on my channel, you know, have really, really liked what I've done championship stuff, actually. They like my insights, especially with me not supporting a championship club either. I think also putting that aside, you know, you can be completely bias free with all 24 teams. So I guess that's how it started with me. So I think that's pretty much all the questions in the football side of it and the viewers done. I just want to quickly have a little bit of time to talk about your music background, because being a musician myself, I am really intrigued to learn a little bit more about your trade. Am I right in saying that you were in a band called Rosalita?
I was many years ago.
Where did you get the band Rosalita from? Was that from the what's it? Bruce Springsteen song Rosalita? Is that what you named it after? Or was it?
I mean, this is
Oh, of course.
This is in another lifetime. I was the last person to join, so I had no say in the name whatsoever. But no, great times back in the day. We had some pretty decent success. Did well, played a few major festivals, a few singles, went on a few tours, and I suppose that taught me lots of valuable life lessons, and certainly about the creative side of life, and which has stood me in really good stead for people wouldn't see the similarity, making content, but essentially you're doing the same thing. You're trying to give somebody else some entertainment and some value that means that they're going to either listen or watch, or with your music it's go to a gig, a little bit different with the YouTube, but I dare say we'll be able to do some live events and things when the world opens up again. But it taught me a lot of things about people and how you interact with others, and working as a team and creating together. So yeah, but it was I wouldn't change it. Obviously I would love to have been gone that one stage further and had some real tangible success and made some real money, but no, I wouldn't change it. It was a great time.
No, sometimes you can't really put things out of your control, especially in this day and age. It's so difficult for songwriters to actually make that stage up and to be different, stand out from the crowd and be unique. It's something that I've noticed as well. In my music background is a bit different. I am classically trained, piano, other instruments as well, being in an orchestra, the best in Essex for, I think 5 years. So I was definitely just the go-to youth orchestra at the time, leader of that. And when I look back at it, I look back thinking, I had a big opportunity to mix with others, but I didn't really. And it was just like, you really missed a chance there. You could really mix with people, but it actually taught me, just to really evaluate everything, especially with music as well. Because music, as you rightfully said, it does help you with people. It's one of the most enjoyable things that I could ever do. And one thing I want to do, especially with now lockdown being reintroduced again, is to get back onto this keyboard and just wipe off the dust and to get being more creative. Because even then, with your channel, you make covers as well. I mean, Am I Still Special is probably my favorite one. The Savile and the Moochie songs, good one as well. Walnut Quay, very different.
I remember
very different stuff.
Yeah, I remember speaking to a friend of mine, and he said to me, "Come on, Ben, you're a musician. Can't you mix the two things?" And I was like, "Nah, it's impossible. It's impossible." So it's just obviously, like back in the band days, we had an audience for what we wanted to do, so that was fine. Now I have an audience as well, and I'm a musician, so it's just scratching an itch. I couldn't look myself in the mirror if I didn't create any music at all in these days. Obviously, I'm still hired to go and do stuff and go and play for other people, but in terms of actually coming up with a song, even if it's a silly football related song, at least I can say to myself I'm creating something musical, which is what I did for so long.
No, most definitely, it's been a huge part of you, and I think you've merged it, exactly in the right way. And I just think it was so cool knowing that you had all this success. You would say you wish you'd gone one step further. I think you performed at Latitude, if I'm right in saying as well, which is quite a big deal, actually.
V Festival with one. V Festival,
yeah. You've had some reasonable amount of success anyway, working with the BBC and all of that. So you've definitely, I feel like you've done a lot. And I heard one of your singles the other day as well. It just popped up on my feed. Weird and Wonderful. Definitely.
Yeah.
No, honestly,
that was the solo days.
Yeah, solo days. And I tell you what,
we did some solo. It's been interesting. When I was a young guy, my first job was filing files in an insurance office, I didn't want to be there. The people I was filing
From
them
as dull
for,
as it can get, really.
the people who I was filing them for didn't want to be there. And if you
Mm,
told me, all these years later that, you're going to go around Europe playing music, you're going to basically be a self-employed musician for years and years. And, I've been to Abu Dhabi and all over the world doing it. And then this next thing, the fact that people you always enjoyed watching football, the fact that people will sit and interact with you about football. It's been great and a far throw from putting files into a shelf
definitely.
in the insurance office. Put it that way. No offense.
No. I mostly agree with you as well. I mean, I'm learning to do accounting, which is a little bit different to what I'm doing in terms of my YouTube stuff right now, which is why I'm definitely putting this as a hobby, etc. And music's always going to be a backup in case I want to drop from that and then just broaden my horizons a little bit, which is especially why I want to pick up on it now. But no, that was like a really, really good chat, actually, in terms of music and stuff, learning, from a band's perspective, you're having an audience, you growing, having singles as well, you're really, really talented,
Very,
really, really
very
talented.
good. Remember, in the band, I was just it was me and four others, so it wasn't all me.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to
we
be.
did good. Yeah, we did good.
No, you did absolutely brilliantly. And yeah, in terms of a songwriter as well, I'm even more pleased that you're still doing it as well, because sometimes you can lose it. Like I've lost it a little bit.
I don't think
I've
I
been
ever had
touring round. No, I don't knock yourself down like that. But just the thing is, with songwriters in general, they are really harshly criticized, in my opinion, because it's just a piano and a voice. So it's really, really exposing. A lot of singles have got production, huge things, and they can just kind of hide, whether they've got a few flaws or whatever. We're way more exposed. So in that case, we've all done really, really well in our own weird and wonderful way, not to put your song title in terms of that phrase. So I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say to you. I hope I finished in a fantastic time for you. It's been a huge honor having you around here, and hopefully we can have more of these talks in the future. Have you enjoyed it today?
Very much so. And everybody subscribe if you subscribe to Alex the Benjamin Bloom football channel, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom, Instagram Benjamin Bloom, Twitter @Benjamin Bloom. Just type Benjamin Bloom in anywhere you will find out about an American education philosopher as well. But you'll also see me.
Yeah, go on and do that. If any of you are watching now from Benjamin Bloom, welcome to Lex Alexas. Feel free to subscribe if you like. And yes, I've hoped you've enjoyed this video today, and hopefully we'll have more talks in the future. That wraps it up, I guess, for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you go and check out Ben. He's got a load more stuff planned. I've got some stuff planned on this channel as well. We'll keep you entertained within this lockdown, I promise you. But as always, thank you for watching and take care, everyone.